Hello, everyone out there. This is Silas of the Night. I'm doing a reading for my Leos for the for the week of March 6th through the 8th, the weekend specifically. Take whatever you get from this reading, what resonates, and then leave the rest behind. All right, so let's see what's going on. So we're going to start with Wednesday. We're going to start with Friday. Let's start with Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, Friday. No, let's start with Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, so, 6, 7, 8. Let's see what's going on for you for Wednesday. Yes. All right, so this represents Leos. And this is that week end time frame. All right, so let's go Wednesday specifically. It's going to be Wednesday. And I've got some clarifying cards just to back up, see what's going on. All right, so let's put that there. All right, Leo. So first thing we have for Wednesday, the 6th, first card we have is the Hermit card. So this is a card specifically about kind of like being isolated and focusing on inner pursuits, being by yourself, taking time off from social interaction. So that's where we're coming from, and that's what we're doing on Wednesday specifically. And it's good. It's a good card. It's a card of healing. So you need that to reset. Next card is the Four of Wands for perfection. So this is a card specifically you need, Leo, to do this like by yourself in order to kind of reset for the summer coming up, because it does feel like things are kind of hazy of where I want to plan things out, where I want to go, and it does look like I need to kind of reset, but I need some alone time to do that. Right, so next we have the Spider Woman. So this is a card specifically like coming out of a maze. So while we're here by ourselves and focusing on getting kind of goals like brainstorming and that initial period of like gestation of figuring out what I want to do, this one's saying these are my goals and this is how I'm going to get out of the kind of like mental rut that I'm at right now. So right now it feels like I'm in a maze. I feel a little bit lost or detached from everything. So this is how we're going to get out of it from this. Next card is the Six of Wands. So this is wands is a tool, specifically elemental tool for direction, for action. You think of the wands depicted in fictional media, movies, all that, books and all that. It's all about directing your power to something specific to get a specific and standard manifestation. So this is specifically about that. That's what's Wednesday going to be happening for you. And then, of course, we have the Love card. These are the Two of Chalices. So this is a card that usually when I have cards about kind of isolation, like the Hermit and the Spider Woman, which is coming out of isolation, but with purpose, the Two of Wands is really representing a union of opposites. So figuring out specifically getting those goals for both money and for romance, whether we're in a relationship or not, that's what you're going to be coming out Wednesday with. That's what's going to be happening in terms of formulating our plans for the spring and summer. The next card for Wednesday is going to be the King of Cups. So this is the card that represented by Odin. So he's upside down, he's missing one eye, but he's doing all this in pursuit of sacred, secret knowledge. That's what and his reward is the runes. So you get the runes represent for you, Leo, kind of getting that path forward, because it does feel like if I'm going to control the jungle, rule the jungle, I need to know what my terrain looks like. I need to know who's involved, what's within the center of the forest, and who am I ruling over. So this is specifically about you kind of like inviting other people in your plan, specifically here and here, and kind of going forward with that. Okay, so that's Wednesday. All right, so now we're going to reset Leo. And we're going to see what's going on for Thursday. Okay. One more. All right, so let's get Thursday going. I'm sorry, let's get Saturday going. All right, because that was Friday. Correction. All right, this is Friday. No, but this is Saturday. Right, so there. So Saturday. So Saturday we're going to start with the Four of Swords. So this is specifically representing two options that's going to be happening that we need to focus on. So whatever we had on Friday, where we're getting ideas with the Hermit card and kind of figuring out what our path forward looks like and the trajectory that way. This is saying get two of those things from maybe those 5 or plus ideas that you had that you want to focus on. And, you know, like I said before earlier, this is going to be doing something specifically with romance, these two, and finances. So that's going to be your focus. And then, of course, now you have the Queen of Cups for your Saturday. This card is represented by the Venus of Willendorf, a very powerful figure in kind of like goddess iconography and, you know, just kind of history in general. So this is a woman who is voluptuous and is, you know, capable of obviously bearing life. This is also letting you know that this is whatever we kind of come through the idea to on Saturday, this is something that is going to bear life for you. This is going to be something that resonates mentally, that has staying powers physically. All right, next card is going to be the Six of Swords. So again, we have these kind of like two choices that you can see kind of like with two sides of the parallel. But then you have another one. You have two more specifically in the middle. So this is where it's saying don't forget to take time to really you know, take your moment for peace, for meditation, for tranquility while we're formulating this new path. Because, you know, nothing's wrong with going forward with a set idea of what we want to achieve, but you don't want to do it, you know, like a robot. You don't want to not have feeling. You don't want to have enjoyment while the process is going on. So sometimes, Leo, we get too stuck in the idea that, okay, just go forward, you know, like, you know, just keep going with, you know, head down, you know, save things for your heart for later. You know, we'll figure that out at the end. Well, this is saying bring a little bit of that heart into the path going forward, because then you're going to enjoy yourself and it won't feel like, oh, I'm following a plan, you know, and if I, for some reason, divert from it for a day or 2 days, it feels like, oh, everything is collapsing. You won't feel that way if you're enjoying the ride while it's happening. It won't feel like such a diversion. All right, next card is also for Saturday is the Lover's card. So in the, for the day before on Friday, we had the Two of Cups. This is a kind of a manifestation saying this is the union manifested. So usually people kind of think, oh, the Lover's card is just specifically for me and my significant other, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, all that kind of good stuff. But not necessarily specifically in this particular reading, because this one is about union with opposites. So that's what the Lover's ring represents. So union with the idea that I have to not just only focus on just love stuff for my future, but I also can focus on finances, which people always think are diametrically opposed when they're not. They work in tandem. All right, next card is the Star card. So this is letting me know that, you know, Leo, you're going to get it together in terms of figuring out how to enjoy the path going forward. You have the Star card where the woman is at the end of a creek or a lake and the water is cascading down around her. She's kind of carefree and, you know, with, you know, just kind of like washing her hair, letting the water kind of like flow over her. So this is also too indicative of tranquility of mind. You know, feeling at peace and rest at what's going on and not feeling rushed or backed into a corner. And you also have the Star above you, which also represents divine intervention, divine kind of like a divine hand in this. So this is also letting me know that when you come out of that Friday of kind of figuring things out, brainstorming and figuring out some kind of like plan fight for your finances as well as for your love life, it's going to be kind of like kissed by the sun. You know, that's kind of what that little star represents. All right, so Leo, this is the other shoe that will inevitably drop. You always kind of like know that that's on the horizon. We have the Tower card. The Tower card is about ultimately about creation, but you have to destroy things a lot of times to get to that creative aspect. Just like you have to revolt a lot of times to get to that evolutionary state. So something is going to be leaving you. This is generally because we're talking about love and finances, specifically in this reading. That means that something in our finances is going to be staying still, but something in our love is going to be taken away in a good way. Something that doesn't serve us anymore. All right, so that's Saturday. So we're going to reset and go to Sunday. See what your Sunday looks like. Okay, so this is Sunday. Leo. All right, so we've got some really excellent kind of like finishing up the weekend cards. We have starting off with the sun. So we mentioned the sun in the previous part of the reading, where this is kind of like a divine hand, kind of like to bless our pursuits and our endeavors. So this is Sunday is going to be some kind of like synchronicity, some kind of event that's going to happen to you on Sunday, possibly. Usually this happens, before nighttime, when we're forced, maybe running errands or we're going out to do something specifically on Sunday morning for a run or take the dog out or whatever we do, in the house. Make sure you take a kind of like a breather and kind of like take a walk outside for just a little bit, because that'll let this kind of come to you. And what this is like, this is going to be like a stamp saying, okay, everything's now in motion. You're on the right path. The next card is the Nine of Wands. We had wands earlier in our card. Wands represents action and direct manifestation. So this is kind of like saying that if we're focusing on finances, we're going to be seeing some kind of physical manifestation of that on Sunday. So this could be seeing an ad in a paper for something we want to focus on, or someone giving us a phone call specifically telling us or alerting us of an opportunity that's coming up. Next card for Sunday is going to be the Empress card. So the Empress card is similar to the Venus of Willendorf we had in the past reading, where this is represented by a woman who's full of possibility. In the imagery in the card, this is a woman who is free and physically free, but she's holding a scepter. She has her weight being carried by this crescent moon, and she's over kind of bubbles in water, and there's a door in the background, kind of like representing the next step. So this is a card that's letting us know that whatever we've made our choices on the days before, this is the perfect thing for you to focus on. And I think it would last you for the next 2 years, honestly. Next card is going to be the Six of Wands, more action, more manifestation, but also too, this is more, we're going to be waking up from some remembrance of dreams that kind of indicate, okay, something has shifted specifically. Our path is now formulating. Next card is the Magician card. The Magician card specifically is about bringing elements together to make something out of nothing, right? So we have the chalice and the elemental powers of earth, air, fire, and water coming together to make something happen for our spirit. We have the moon, crescent moon in the background, which is kind of like a cosign, in my opinion, from the card before, which lets us know our dreams are now going to be taking notice of what we're doing. So different levels of our mind are working in tandem at this point in Sunday. Last card is the Seven of Swords. So I mentioned the Tower card previously for the day before. This is a card letting us know that whatever is going to be leaving us specifically in our love arena, you're going to see the result of like why that was useless. That's what the card kind of like signifies, the Seven of Swords. Something that we don't need or doesn't serve anymore. All right, Leo, that is your reading for the weekend of March 6th through the 8th. My name is Silas of the Night. I do private readings. I have information in the link below, and peace and blessings.